All right, you guys, what's up? Welcome back to our weekly live feed. As you're logging on, if you'd like to come work with me, suitsandposing.com is where you can go, or you can go to Sean's Couture on Instagram or Stage Ready by Sean on Instagram. Stage Ready by Sean is our new branding. It is taking over little by little, so check me out there if you haven't already. As you log on, say hello. Tell me where you're coming in from. And if you need hair, makeup, suits, or posing, that's what we do. The next show that we are going to be at is Nashville Fit Show in 2 weeks. So I'm home this weekend. We do have a Sundays with Sean this Sunday. So if you are local and you would like to join us, we do group posing sessions twice a month. We have one this Sunday, and then we have one the 26th, whatever it is, 2 weeks from now. What's up? What's up? Come work with me on your presentation aspects of the sport. Say hello when you get logged on. If you're logging on Instagram, we are live on YouTube and Facebook as well. It's a better platform there because you just see the screen shares. We're going to put up pictures from this past weekend. So get on it. And like I said, when you log on, comment, say hello. Tell me where you're coming in from. Tonight we are going to wrap up the Tampa Pro. And we're going to preview this coming weekend because we have Texas and Tahoe this coming weekend. What's up, Lexi? Ruby, what's up? And I'm going to highlight one of our channel sponsors right now, which is Sun Rayz. So I know several of you are getting ready to compete this month, next month, so on and so forth. Make sure that you are getting your tan taken care of by the best, Sun Rayz. I've worked with them consistently for 15 years, so nobody else, just Sun Rayz. And when you use our code cuties10, that gets you savings and everything you need from them. We always give it a couple minutes, about 3 minutes or so, for everybody to get logged on, for the notifications to pop up, all the fun things. I am starving. I don't know about you guys. We are shooting our 50th episode of Behind the Bikini tomorrow morning. So if you have questions that you'd like Jordan and I to cover tomorrow, feel free to send those in. Comment on my stories or comment in on YouTube under any one of our podcasts, because tomorrow's episode is going to be all about your questions. So make sure that you do that. So get those in tonight because we're going to be starting doing that tomorrow morning. So if you haven't asked your questions yet, do it. Okay? Okay, so tonight we are going to, what's up from New Mexico? Welcome. Tonight we're going to, like I said, wrap up Tampa. And we are going to preview this coming weekend shows. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about wellness. I think, where's my screen share? I think we're going to talk about wellness. Yeah, at Tampa. There we go. I think my screen share should come up here. There it is. Just taking a second. All right, let's talk about wellness. So I will be the first one to say I actually have not gone through these photos yet for wellness. I went through Bikini quickly, but haven't gone through wellness at all. So we're going to start with, so this is our wellness lineup. It was actually really deep in Tampa. So top 5 was very good. Here's your top 5 right here. So we're going to start with Samira. Let's find a good front pose of hers. We're just going to go through their front poses and back poses. This one looks like she's posed. So the first thing that I would say here with her is to just kind of tweak this front pose a little bit. She's standing up a little tall, so I push back a little more, pop that glute out. But she has a really good shape here. Conditioning looks like it's pretty good. Maybe a little bit, needs to be a little bit tighter in the legs, maybe. Overall, really, really pretty package. Her suit bottoms are definitely too low. Ladies, this is something that we're paying attention to a lot now, is the suit bottoms in the front, okay? This is dipping down way too low. It needs to come up higher, okay? I would also probably pull the top pieces in a little bit. I do like the suit color. It just needs to sit on her a little bit differently. So I actually think that the suit cut's probably okay. She just needs to adjust how it's actually sitting on her. But the pose, I would switch this up just a little bit. Push the knee forward this way, push the knee out a little bit, and sit back into it just a touch. That would show off her shape and the wellness criteria a little bit better. The way she's standing right now, she's just standing too upright, which she could do for bikini, but this is wellness. Back pose, I would say she's actually bending over a little bit too much. She's arching a little bit too hard here. So again, when we look at the suit, I actually think the suit itself is the right cut. I think she's just wearing it wrong. So you can see up here, we've got a little bit of a shallow spot right here. So that means she needs to pull it down from the back and up in the front. We shouldn't see this little shallow spot up at the top here, okay? The way that she's posing right now is actually taking away from the fullness of her glutes. I actually think her glutes are probably a little bit better than what she's showing right here, and that's because she's pushing too hard and arching too hard here, which will make the fullness kind of disappear. She's doing this to try to make her hamstrings come in a little bit, I'm sure, but while it's doing that for her, it's taking away from the fullness. So I would say she probably needs a little bit more glute. In general, just a little bit more muscle density, and then she won't have to pose quite so hard either to get the conditioning to show up. But this pose, she just needs to stand up a little taller. Also needs to fix the hair extensions. These are pretty sparse down here at the bottom. If they're not going to be full at the bottom, just get rid of them. You know, she needs another weft of them basically, and that would fill that back out. So just some little presentation details, and then I would say just fix the fix the presentation details like the posing and things like that, and then just add some more glutes. Jasmine is up next. Let's get a good front pose of her. This is a good one here. Now, what I will say is she's doing a good job of hiding her upper body here. This is a very good front pose. However, she's pretty big and wide through the delts and everything with the top, but she's doing a very, very good job of hiding that with her hair. So this is a common thing that we're seeing with wellness girls. I mean, it's really hard to just grow the lower body and not the upper body at the same time. So if you've got delts and you've got biceps and you've got a back and things like that, you have to figure out how to hide it. So she's doing a really good job with this pose. I like the structure of this front pose a lot. Her suit bottoms probably could be a little bit higher, but the way she's posing, we can't see a whole lot in the front, so that's okay. Waistline's a little thick, but again, that's going to happen when you're trying to build the size. So I actually think she did a very, very good job of this presentation of her pose right here in the front pose. I think she looks really good. So she did a good job with her frame. Let's pull up a back shot. So I would say she probably still needs some more glutes too. Again, she's really pinching off her upper body. She's doing that on purpose. That's a good thing. Upper body looks good. She did a good job of hiding the upper body. I would say probably, her quads look pretty good from the back, but I would say just to balance it out, a little bit more fullness in the glutes. Her glutes are a little bit small here. Maybe a little bit more fullness into the hamstrings. Again, if she adds a little bit more size, a little bit more density to the glutes, she's going to be able to stand up a little taller, and they're going to still have the conditioning, and they're going to still round out. But she's actually quite a bit fuller than the last girl we just had up because she is standing up a little taller. So I think in general, with what she's got with her physique going on right now, she did a very, very good job of presenting it well. So tan looks great. I love the suit color. The cut on the suit is good too. So she did a very good job. Again, sometimes it's about just bringing the best package for your physique, and I think she did a good job with that. She still needs to improve the physique, just like anybody else. Everybody else has to improve their physique as well, but she did a great job of showing what she's got. I think we missed the front pose on Juliana. Let's pull this one up. I think this is a good one. Yep. Now with Juliana, I believe she's got good size, good shape here, good V into the waistline. I think she needs to be a little bit better conditioned. She looks a little bit soft to the waistline, right? Suit looks good, probably okay in the front. The way she's posing, again, we can't tell, so it's okay. I'm not automatically drawn to the fact that it's too low or anything like that. Good pose. I would say she probably needs to be just a touch more conditioned, is what I would say. But wellness shape overall is very, very good. And this is what we're talking about when we're talking about size. Like the last two girls I just mentioned, they needed some more size in their glutes. She's got the size in her glutes. She's got plenty of size in her glutes, right? She's got the fullness. She's not bending over at all, and those glutes are big and round. I would say she needs more legs from the back. I would say she needs some more quad sweep from the back. Probably stand up a little taller in the knees, and that would pop the hamstrings and quads a little bit more. She's just bending the knees a little too much, but she's standing up very tall, and her glutes are very full. She's one of those ones that she probably could bend over a little bit and get rid of a little bit of the fullness, and she'd be better off. But this is the fullness of the glutes we're talking about. So she just needs to get her legs to catch up to her glutes. In general, very good. They're not super strict about this in wellness, but I'd probably still cut my hair a little bit. It's a little too long. It's hitting too much on that top of the glutes. We see this a lot in wellness. I'm just still not a fan because it just takes away from the overall shape. But I'd fix this back pose a little bit with the knees. I think she's squatting too much. And then just add some more quad sweep to the back. And that might be a posing thing too. She might be able to fix that with some posing. Okay, we got Cassandra up next. So Cassandra has not been on stage for a while. She is not qualified for the Olympia right now. She was top 6 this past year, and she took second here. So I think she's competing this coming week. I don't think we saw a front pose yet. Did she do a front pose here? That's a quarter turn. No, not really. Let's see if we got a front pose in here at all. Yeah, we do. Okay, good. Let's do a front pose. Okay, so Cassandra actually, her waistline looks really good, but the way she's posing right here makes her look very upper body dominant. So we were talking about before, the 4th place girl, Jasmine, had her hair over her shoulders. Cassandra needs to do that. She needs to pull her hair down over her shoulders to hide this a little bit. I know she's trying to show V-taper into the waistline, but what I see here is I see a figure body, really, posing in wellness. If she was to cover up that upper body a little bit, that would take my eyes more to her quads, because I think her quads look really good. I think she needs to open up this knee a little bit and just make the quads pop even more, make the glute pop even more. She's very focused, I think, on keeping that waistline tight, which is okay. You need to do that too, but we need some fullness in those quads, and that needs to be the focal point versus the shoulders being the focal point. Like the shoulders are the focal point right now, and that's posing. She could fix that with some posing tweaks. Let's get a back pose. So I think, to be honest with you, that she might be a little bit overdone with the conditioning here, because it just kind of takes away from the pop. She doesn't have that full pop that we just saw in the last girl. I forgot her name already, but she's really pinching hard up top. And it's just making her look a little narrow from the back. She's got the quad sweep and stuff, but she's very, very dry from the back. She doesn't have that fullness back here that we're looking for. So, this is a good package. Don't get me wrong, but I think she needs to be fuller. I think she lost some of that. I think she's trying to come in really tight with the waistline and all of that, which she did good with that aspect of it, but lost that fullness, that roundness, that pop. So I would just fill this out a little bit. Just looks a little bit hard for me. A little bit hard in general, just a little bit hard. And Lisa. So we talked about Lisa this past week. We kind of figured that it would come down to Cassandra and Lisa, to be honest. So this was not a surprise. Lisa, when we pulled her up, you're going to see what I mean about the fullness, the roundness, right? She's very full and round. Now, she doesn't have the tightest waistline. You can see that. Cassandra has a tighter waistline. but she's got that fullness. She's got that roundness in that glute. She's sitting back into that hip a little bit. This suit cut bottom is great. This is fantastic. We're not seeing it too low, not at all. Upper body, she's got delts, but they're not overpowering. The first thing I look at with her is her quad and her glute pop, not her upper body. So this is more along the line that we're looking for as far as that fullness is concerned. She's got the muscle and she's got the roundness. Let's take a look at her back pose. If I'm not mistaken, I believe she's from Germany. I think she might be the first Germany competitor from Germany that is qualified for the Olympia, if I'm not mistaken, maybe. And see what I mean about that fullness. Now, she's just as conditioned as Cassandra, but she's so much fuller. So much fuller. This is a wellness back shot, right? So her glutes are nice and full. Her legs are nice and full. They are balanced. They are round. And her upper body, she's still got the delts and they're round there, but they're not the focal point. They're smaller. This is a really, really good wellness shot, okay? So again, conditioning's there, but so is the fullness. So is that roundness. So is that pop. So yeah, very, very good showing for her. I think she's competing this weekend again, I think in Texas, pretty sure. So we'll pull that up in a minute. Let's pull up Bikini. Find it. Okay. All right. So in fifth place, we had Ariana, which was a little bit, I'll be honest, a little bit of a disappointment. Ariana is gorgeous. And I was there in person at Tampa last year, and she was fighting for that first place position. She was a little bit soft in Tampa last year, which is why she took second to Ashlyn. But she was like immediately stunning, right? And then from that point on, she went and won Nashville, and then she went into the Olympia, placed top 10. She qualified for the Olympia already this year, coming out, was it Atlantic Coast? She won right after the Olympia, so she is qualified for this year already. But then it was kind of a lackluster, Pittsburgh, she was 11th place, which, after coming off the Olympia and placing top 10, you would expect her to be a little bit higher in the mix, top 2 kind of thing going into Pittsburgh. But she was outside the top 10. Here in Tampa, she was 5th, which I think she's even a little soft here. She looks like she's downsized quite a bit. She's a tall girl. She needs muscle. When you're tall, trust me, I know when you're tall, you got to be full and round with your muscularity. And this just looks like she's almost deflated a little. Again, gorgeous girl, beautiful shape, but I just feel like she looks deflated to me. She looks flat. She looks soft. So it was a little bit of a disappointment. I thought that she could be quite a bit higher in the rankings if she'd come in at her full potential. Let's take a look at a back shot. I mean, this to me, this looks very, very thin from the back. Soft. It's almost like we lost some pop to the glutes. She's tilting quite a bit on the side. Is that from her front? That's not from her front pose, because she poses on the other side in her front pose. Yeah, she's got an imbalance there she's going to work on. I've just clicked through a handful of these photos, and she's got that there in all of them. So she needs to work on that imbalance. She's got a pinch right here. She needs to add some size. She just needs some more muscle density to pop everything out. Again, gorgeous girl, beautiful shape, beautiful frame. Needs to fill that muscle back out and get back to where she was earlier in the season at the Olympia. So, yeah. Next up, we have Alice. So Alice just came in off of a win. That was her first show back this year, her first win. She just beat Ashley Kaltwasser. To me, I felt like this was a very good package for her. I think she's still kind of finding her footing as far as her presence is concerned and things like that. There's a few things I would change with this front pose. I love the green. First of all, I wish more blondes would wear green. I think it's a beautiful color on blondes. I love that she went with her curls, her natural curls, all that. Front pose, I would fix a little bit of this. Like, it's just kind of hanging out there, and in doing so, we lose some of that delt. I think her conditioning is really good. She probably could have been a little bit tighter. For this lineup, but I think in general, I think this is pretty good. She just needs to fix this front pose a little bit. Just drop the arm, kind of twist the upper body a little bit differently. I saw this at the last show too. What was it that she won? I can't remember the name of the show. Patriots? It wasn't Patriots. Whatever it was, that she just won. She qualified. Saw the same thing with that front pose there too. She just needs to tweak this a touch with her upper body more than anything. I think her lower body's fine. I think her lower body's right where it needs to be, nice and tight with the waistline, everything. I think she just needs to tweak the upper body a little bit with this front pose. Back pose. In general, I think she could use a little bit more glute. She's pretty good with the conditioning here. Again, could probably have been a touch tighter. I felt like she was a little bit better at her last show. But overall, I like the back pose. Probably needs to work on pushing a little bit off to the left. It looks like she's pushing some weight onto her right foot. So I'd push a little bit more weight onto the left to balance this out a little. That's probably an inconsistency that's born from her front pose. This is why I tell you guys all the time to be posing on both sides in the front pose, because you can see she's got a little bit of an imbalance, and that's coming from the fact that she does pose on the left-hand side in her front pose. So just needs to work on that mobility just a little bit. I would say just a touch tighter. And in general, I think she just needs a little bit more muscle back here, a little bit more density to push a little bit more onto that skin and just pop a little bit more. But in general, I think this is a very good package for her, especially coming out, like I said, her first show back, she won it. This is a very respectable placing for her here at this kind of caliber of show for sure. Rihanna in third. I think she looked better. And this, this could be lighting for the show too. I don't like this orange backdrop. Just gonna be honest. I don't like the orange backdrop. I think it blends too much. It's hard for them to pop off the screen, that kind of thing. But I think she actually looked a little bit better in Chicago. She was a little bit tighter. Again, this could just be the lighting. This could be the photos, but I think she was a little bit tighter in Chicago. This is not a bad showing for her at all. She's nice and tight still through the waistline. Just needs a little bit more fullness, I think, more pop to the shoulders here. I do like the purple suit. I actually like the purple suit in this lighting better than what I saw in the Chicago lighting. But I'm still a fan of the red on her personally. I think overall this is a very, very good package for Rihanna. And I think that, again, third place is fantastic in this show. I think she's finding her look for the Olympia, which I think is fantastic. But I do think that she was a little bit better in Chicago. I don't think she's competing again until Olympia. I think this is it until Olympia. I know she was planning on doing a handful of shows just to try to test her look and find the right one and get feedback and all that kind of stuff. So I think she's done that. I think she has a very, very good shot. If she nails everything going into the Olympia, I think she's a very good shot at the top 10 this year. From the back, I love her back pose. She could stand to have a little bit more density as well. Again, with the imbalance a little bit on the left-hand glute. Left-hand glute is a little bit smaller than the right. Again, coming from the front pose. Now that I've pointed this out, you're going to notice this in almost every single competitor, every single bikini girl. Whatever glute is the glute that they use for their front pose tends to be smaller when they turn to the back pose. And that is because we all cut that off a little bit. And it's nerves and all of the fun things. So you got to work on your mobility here. With hers, it's not super noticeable, but it's there. It's there on pretty much every girl. So that's one thing I would work on is just mobility going into the Olympia. But I think this is a very, very solid package for her. I just liked her Chicago package a little bit better. And it could just be the lighting. It could be the lighting because, frankly, the backdrop here, I was not a fan of this orange backdrop at Tampa. Everything looks blended together. So now our top two were Evie and Issa, which makes sense. Evie and Issa compare very well to each other. I do think Evie was a little bit too hard. Not a huge fan of this front pose arm. I don't know. And again, like I kind of scroll through these so you can see I'm not just picking one randomly. That's her arm. It's just hanging out there. Not really sure why she's hanging her arm out like that. When you do that, it just minimizes the fullness of the shoulder. She needs to drop that arm down and let it relax. I do think she's a little too hard here. You can see, you know, she's just a little bit too tight everywhere. So she needs to fill out a touch. Yeah, the busy backdrops are, it's just, again, for me, it's the orange tones. Like everybody blends into the backdrop right now in these photos. Now, I also want to mention this. You don't blend into the backdrop when you're there in person, but for the photos and the videos, you do. So it's hard to evaluate when you're looking at the photo, right? So I guarantee that they looked a lot better in person than what we're seeing here on the screen, but it's because that backdrop. Now you can also see she's got this really tight string through the hamstring in the back here, right? So to me, this is too much. She's over the line. She's a little bit too hard. Very tight, very, very tight. But again, she was, in conditioning wise, she was most comparable to Issa, which makes sense as to why she was where she was with her placing, right? Apples and apples, oranges and oranges. You know, Alice and Ariana compared very well to each other with conditioning and shape and all of that. And Evie and Issa compared very well to each other with theirs. So I would say she needs some more upper glute to pop this. To me, again, she just looks a little bit flat. And I don't mean that as far as her peaking. I think she needs to fill out with some more pop. Just in general, all over her frame, she needs some more pop. This just looks very like tight and dry to me, right? So I just like to see her fill out a little bit more. Pops the upper glute. You know, she's got a little bit of pop going on, but not enough. Like it just needs to pop on her upper glute there. I don't know what her plan is going forward, whether this is it or if she's planning on competing some more before the Olympia, but I would just focus on really filling out. Especially when she gets up against people like, you know, Jennifer Dory and Maureen and all them. She's got to be really full in order to get up into that top 10. And Issa won this show, which we all kind of assumed that was going to be the case. However, we hadn't seen her on stage for a while because she had appendicitis and all of that. Now, to me, it looks like she's kind of sitting back into this a little. Like she needs to stand up a little taller. It's almost like she's pushing her pelvis forward a touch. I've never seen Issa's delts look like this ever. Like, to me, one of the things that I've always said about Issa personally is I wanted to see her delts fill out because I felt like she got all of her shape from the width in her lats, which is fine. However, that's not what they're looking for right now with Bikini, right? They're looking for the roundness in the delts. They're not looking for the figure back, the X frame, the spread, the lat spread. So I've always felt like Issa just didn't hit the mark when it came to her delts. When I saw the first couple of photos come out with Issa at this show, I was like, holy crap, where did her shoulders come from? So she definitely put some size on her shoulders for sure, which I think definitely completes her frame. She needed it. She needed the shoulders up top for sure. The hardest part to beat with Issa is her shape, just because her waistline is so small. Now, I do think with her trying to add some density and things like that to her legs, she's built up a little bit in the back here, but not so much that it's going to be a big detriment to her. She's got to watch this to make sure this doesn't get much thicker because she still looks super tight because of the way that her abs just come in and connect. So she's super tight. I would say she's probably a touch too lean, but for Issa, I think this works for her because the critique with Issa has always been that she doesn't have hamstring tie-ins, and this was the first show where we're all like, oh, she's got hamstring tie-ins for a change. So she needed to get this lean in order to get those to pop, but I think she just needs to keep adding density to her glutes so that she doesn't have to get this lean in order for that to show, right? So here we go. This is, and again, I go back to, this is the best that I've seen Issa look in a very, very long time. She's got the pop, she's got the roundness, she's got the fullness. I do think she's a touch too lean. However, I think she needed to get there in order to get the hamstrings to come in where they needed to come in for this show. So, I think she did what she had to do. She also needs some mobility work over here. See this? This is her front pose side right here. So guys, notice this. She's tight over on the side. This is her front pose. So yeah, she looks very, very good. I know she's doing Texas again. It's gonna be really hard to beat her. Okay. I do think this is the best she's looked in a long time. I think she just needs to continue to build that density so she does not have to get quite so lean in order to get to where she needs to get to with her conditioning. So thought the tan was going to be too dark, but I was wrong. Yeah, I don't think her tan is too dark. I also think, again, that's partly because of the backdrop. So, with the suit color, I like the suit color on her too. I still like the teal color, that kind of thing. I like the teal color a little bit better on her. But this works for her too. I mean, I've never seen a color that I don't like on her. It's kind of the same thing. Like I have preferences when it comes to colors for some of these girls. Like this is not my preference for her, but I still think it works for her. I still think she looks good, right? So I don't have a problem with this suit at all. I think it looks good. So I think, and I'm glad you're able to get on and watch now that you're here. Awesome, that's wonderful. Yeah, because you're competing this weekend, right? So I think in general, we all kind of knew this was going to be Issa's show unless she royally screwed it up. You know what I mean? So at that point, it was just about everybody else being compared to her. So in my opinion, that's why I think it's one of the reasons why Evie was second, because I think her conditioning and shape and everything compared closest to Issa. And then we saw Alice and Rihanna right on the outside of that because the two of them compared very well to each other. So again, it's always apples to apples, oranges to oranges. So I think this played out kind of how we thought it was going to, pretty much. And now it's just a matter of them kind of tweaking and stuff like that going into Olympia. So this coming weekend, let's talk about Texas first, because we just talked about Issa winning Tampa. So this is the lineup for Texas. Clearly, Issa is going to be your front runner. I don't see anybody else here really beating her, but I pulled up some names of girls that have gotten top fives already this year. If I missed somebody, please type it into the comments, but I'm going to pull up the ones that already do have top fives that could push Issa a little bit. One of those being Tamikia. So Tamikia has been trying to get qualified all year. She's been getting top fives all year. She's definitely one to be paying attention to going into the show. I also have up Lana. This is Lana's second show this year. She just placed fourth in Texas, so she's one to be watching as well. I think she might. Her issue in Texas was conditioning was not tight enough. So let's see if she comes in a little bit tighter here for her conditioning. Obviously Issa, we just talked about Issa. This little pop-up thing is annoying me. So Issa is your front runner going to the show. She did win this show last year too. So she's definitely one to be watching. We have Kerrigan. So Kerrigan has not been on stage in a while. Last year. But she placed third last year, so she has gotten her top five. So I did pull her up because she's gotten into the top five. This is her first show coming out this year. And then we have Lisa. So Lisa is qualified already this year. She's a top competitor in Europe. Tends to be, towards the first call out here in the States or in the first call out here in the States, but has not won. So I don't expect her to really be pushing the rest of these girls, but she could definitely be in the top five for sure. Is there anybody else on this list that I missed? Go ahead and type in. Did I miss anybody? Did Ashlyn beat her last year? Was that it? Oh, yeah, you're right. Ashlyn did beat Issa. You're right. Ashlyn did beat Issa last year in Texas. You're right. Yep. All these years start blurring together. Did I miss anybody on the list that has a top five that I didn't put in here? Anybody? I'll give it a minute, and we'll move over to Tahoe. Clash last August. Where are you, Lauren? Lauren. Oh, plug in. Let's see. There we go. Where is it? See. Oh, that's why. Okay, that's why I didn't see you. Well, that's that. If they spelled your name wrong, that's why I didn't see you. Gotcha. Okay. How do you spell? How did they spell it? Well, everybody that's on live here, Lauren, right here, that's in the comments. Search your last name. Okay, let's search your last name. Let's do that. See, that happened with me with Lisa last week. I was trying to look for Lisa, and they entered her wrong last year. Which one did I? Oh, right here. There it is. Okay, got it. Okay, there we go. We got you. Okay, there you go. Nothing against Ashley. Yeah, Issa was off last year. I agree, Devin, for sure. Some water flavoring in my water. It's nothing special. There we go. So we got a top fiver right there. Okay. Anybody else that I missed? Thanks for correcting me. If you guys ever see anybody on here, let me know. It's hard when they don't put you in there and spell your name right. It's hard when we don't have the name spelled right. Did I miss anybody else? No? All right. So let's move over to Tahoe. That's Texas. Here's Tahoe. Okay. Yes, and good luck with your getting top 5 here too. Okay. All right. Here is Tahoe. Okay. So on this list, we will get somebody new qualified for the Olympia for this year because nobody here is qualified, I don't think. Hopefully I didn't miss anybody in this one. But I pulled up Yume because she has been placing top 5s. So she's definitely one to be paying attention to going into the show. I pulled up Roxana. So Roxana is a previous Olympian. These pictures are terrible. Let me pull up an actual shot of her so you guys can see what she looks like. There we go. Roxana has been to the Olympia in the past, also placing top 5. So she's definitely one to be paying attention to as well. And we have Jasmine. So Jasmine has been to the Olympia in the past. She hasn't competed at all this year, I don't think. But she has placed top 5 last year. So she's one to be paying attention to as well. And then we have Jessica. So, of course, Jessica is Miss Masters Olympia right here. She just did Chicago, placed top 5 there. So she's absolutely one to be watching for sure. Always. And I would say she's probably your front runner going into this. Who else? Anybody else that I missed? Anybody on the list that I missed for this show to be paying attention to? This one has a Masters Bikini show as well. I would say your front runner going into this show would be Jessica. Front runner for Texas would be Issa. For sure. Anything anybody else wants to comment tonight before we finish out for this evening? We're getting down to the last handful of shows that qualify for this year's Olympia. So it's getting tight. There's still a lot of girls out there that are perennial Olympians that have not qualified yet. So I'm curious to see what happens over the next few weeks. But like I said, the next show that I'll be at will be Nashville Fit Show in 2 weeks. If anybody's going and you need hair and makeup, I got slots open. Just hit me up. I'm trying to think what else to tell you. Oh yeah, like I was mentioning at the beginning of the feed, we are shooting our seventh. What was I saying? Seventh. Our 50th. I don't know. I'm trying to read comments and talk at the same time. I can't do two at the same time. We are shooting our 50th Behind the Bikini tomorrow, 50th episode. So if you have questions for us, feel free to leave questions. We are doing a whole episode on your questions, so feel free to send those in. I love that so many have waited. These shows are way more exciting to watch. I know, yeah, it's exciting when you got several Olympians in one show that are trying to qualify. Definitely makes it more exciting, for sure, 100%. I don't know when Ramina's competing. Part 2, the last YouTube video. Which YouTube video? Part 2. I'm not sure what you mean. I'm confused. Part 2. I don't know what you mean. But yeah, so we will be doing our Behind the Bikini tomorrow morning. So if you guys have questions that you want to ask, feel free to do that. I think that's it. I'm low on energy, you guys, right now. I'm definitely in prep, but I'm just tired. It's that time of the month, and I gotta eat, and I had a very long day of clients and calls today, so I'm like, whoa, goodness, I still gotta eat and do some more steps. So, anything else you guys want to contribute before we finish out for this evening? And give another shout out to our YouTube partners, like with Sun Rayz. Oh, I can say something that I didn't mention yet. Cuties Conquer the Stage 2025. It's coming, you guys. Oh, so you're talking about Behind the Bikini? No, there's no part 2. I mean, we're doing episode 50 tomorrow, so that's not really part 2. We just finished out the episode. That's all. We went through everything. For that episode. So we'll just pick up where we left off, like we always do. So, to be honest with you, I don't even remember what we were talking about, but we pretty much finished it. We'd pretty much gotten to the end of it anyway. So, like I said, I'm sitting here in my head, like trying to think what we were even talking about. But no, we had pretty much wrapped up everything we talked about already. So we just had to wrap up the series or the episode. So you guys didn't miss anything. Yeah, I'm curious to see if we're going to see anybody do any warm-ups, or if they're just going to wait. I would imagine we're going to see some warm-ups, and that's going to take some Olympia spots away. So, I mean, but I have to look at the actual cutoff date. I think there's a couple of shows. There's like 2 weekends after the cutoff date, I think. So those would qualify for next year. I think the cutoff date is September 21st weekend. And then there's like 2 more weekends. So there's Daytona weekend and there's Southern Muscle weekend that are right before Olympia. I think that's it. I don't know. I have to look at the schedule again. But anyway, they might come out and do some warm-ups. Usually not within a couple of weeks of the Olympia. If they're going to do the warm-ups, it's like now, because then they can make changes between now and the Olympia. Once you get within like 6 weeks of the Olympia, there's no changes really left to make, right? So, yeah, she did. She said she might. She didn't say she was going to. Amy did say she might do one more. She didn't say she was absolutely going to. But you got Legions coming up. You got a few shows in September that you might see some Olympians come out and warm up for. But yeah, we're getting tight. Like, there's not a whole lot of shows left. So, to be honest, I'm kind of surprised. I figured with Texas we wouldn't see any big names come out because everybody kind of knew Issa was doing it. But I thought with Tahoe we would. I just made a thumbs up on my Instagram. I didn't even know I did that. I thought with Tahoe we would, and we don't really have a deep lineup. So I'm curious. I'm curious to see what happens over the next month or so here. It's gonna be interesting. So with that, I like these girls jumping in and it getting more and more like depth. to the roster. You know, we need to get some depth. We need to get some depth. So, yeah, I think that's everything. I was gonna talk about Hughes. That's what I forgot. I was gonna talk about Hughes coming to the stage. So we did secure a new venue for this year. So this is our 10th anniversary, and it's our last big one that we're doing. For those of you that didn't know, this is our final like big blowout for Hughes conquering the stage because it's our 10th anniversary. So be paying attention because we are going to be releasing all of that info and more ticket sale info very, very soon. So please be paying attention. Please be paying attention because you're not going to want to miss this. It's going to be huge for our 10th year. So anyway, with that, I'm going to let you guys go for the evenings. I got to go eat. I'm starving, and I got to get the rest of my steps in for the day too. I got to get like another 1,000 steps in. So I got to go do that. I got to go take my walk. So hope you guys have had a great week so far. We'll be back with Behind the Bikini tomorrow. And yeah, so I'm looking at your comments, guys. We'll see. That's all I can say is we'll see.